You have to understand when a job is thirsty and when a job is probably going to treat you bad. Um, I'm going to school right now, and I had a class today. And there was a recruiter that came to the class to speak to us to tell us, why we should come work for their company and do this internship. One of my classmates asked a question about layoffs. And the recruiter got mad and they kind of almost started arguing in the classroom. And I was like, this is weird. This is crazy. How you going? What are you getting mad for? What are you getting mad for someone asking a question and then you cut them off and didn't even let them finish asking the question? And my classmate was like, I didn't get a chance to finish asking my question. And the guy was like, well, let me finish talking first. And I'm like, oh, hell nah. That's a red flag to me. If somebody acting like that, trying to recruit you to come work at their job and come do this internship, and you're getting mad, I already know it's going to be a hostile work environment. Why would somebody want to come put themselves through that? And y'all talking about working 12-hour shifts and all this other crazy stuff and still going to school? Yeah, right. Get out of here with that noise. And I think this is some advice for you right here. If you looking for a job or you going in for a job interview, don't just be so happy to take the job. Ask them, why should I come work here? It's not that you have to sell them to work for them. They have to sell you as well. Why should I even want to be a part of this company? Why should I want to come work here for? What's the benefits of working here? What's the management style like? What's the turnover rate like? There's so many different questions that you need to be asking the potential employer of you if you want to work for them. What's a good reason for me to come here? Because I'm not so thirsty that I need to work here that bad. And you also have to put this in your mind too. When a company is so thirsty to hire you, that's a red flag. Something got to be wrong. They got high turnover rate. And when you work at a company with high turnover rate, you know the job satisfaction is very low because why are people leaving so much? Why are people getting fired? Why are people getting hurt? All of these different things that you need to think about when you are trying to get a job at a place. And I remember one time I didn't even want this job. I guess it's reverse psychology. I wasn't trying to do it, but I went in there, did the interview. This is how I know I didn't care. I didn't even get dressed up for the interview. And she was like, do you want this job? And I was like, I don't really know. And she was like, you don't want this job. I was like, you're right, I don't. And so my friend, he's there with me too. He didn't get the job. Oddly, he really wanted the job. He came dressed up and everything. Uh, she came back out there and said, you sure you don't want this job? She said, you sure you don't want this job? I said, nah, I'm good, man. I'm good. So she was begging me to take the job, but I didn't want it because I feel like it didn't suit me. It didn't suit my needs. And that's one thing too that you got to remember is if you doing a job, you got to realize you spending your life there. So are you even going to be happy working there? I remember when I came in for that job interview, there was a girl quitting that same day. And she said, this is the worst job I ever had in my life. I was talking to her in the little waiting area. And she was like, today's my last day. She was like, I feel so sad coming here. I feel like crying every morning that I'm about to clock in. And I was like, dang, you feel like crying? And I felt her pain because I did have a job where I remember I sat there and I did feel like crying. I was like, man, I remember I told my homies about it. They was laughing at me. They said, you feel like crying? I said, man, I ain't even gonna lie, man. I sat up in that truck, man, and I sat there for an hour thinking about quitting, but I couldn't quit because I had bills and responsibilities and stuff I had to take care of. But I really did feel like shedding some tears. That's how sad I was working at that job. That's how bad I hated working there. And most of the time, it's not even the job that you hate, it's the people, it's the environment. Every job got something that you don't like doing. But when you work at a company and somebody makes the job just terrible, and you feel like throwing up before you come in, it's time for you to go. That's not the right job for you. There's all kind of other jobs in the world. Man, I could talk about this forever because I've had so many jobs, like, and been around so many different people. Like, there was this guy, I first got hired at the one job where I said, I felt like crying. He would complain all day about the job. And I said, man, why don't you just quit if you hate the job so much? I mean, I was a new hire. I said, man, you kind of making me not even want to be here in the truck with you because you complaining about the job so much. He had to apologize after the shift. He complained so much. I said, man, why don't you quit? He said, well, what if I go somewhere else and I don't like it and it's worse than this? I'm like, well, that's a chance. That's a risk you got to take because I can't take listening to you all day, every day, complaining about how much you hate working here. You need to get the freak up out of here. It's time for you to go. And another thing that I realized too about this job stuff is that it's not as secure as you think. I worked at plenty of jobs where they lied to me and told me, we got work for years. Nobody ain't gonna never get laid off. We got a contract with so and so company and we gonna be doing this and doing that. And then they end up not having that. That turned out to be a lie. That turned out to not be true. Um, they do start laying people off, or you never know. Just like when COVID happened, the place where I was working at, where I felt like crying, they ended up losing all their business because they couldn't hang with the pandemic. And you don't never know what's about to happen. You don't know what's going to happen in the world. And so at that point, I wasn't working there anymore, but I remember being afraid to start my own business or be reliant solely on me at that point. And I was like, man, well, what if it don't work? And I'm gonna be living in the streets, and I was afraid because I'd never done it before. And then I took that leap of faith, and then it worked out. And then that ended up I ended up doing that for like 7 years, being self-employed, and then now I'm going to school and I'm doing something different. So you don't have to be locked in and be a lifer at a job, especially if you hate it. What's the point, man? We only get one life. Why are you going to spend your whole life being miserable working at a funky company where nobody don't care about you? That don't make no sense. I remember I was hurt at my job. My eyes was bloodshot red. I had glass and dust or something all in my eye. I could barely see. My dispatch driver gonna say, "Can you still do the route?" I said, "Man, look at my eye. Well, I can't even drive right now. How am I supposed to? Am I still gonna do the route?" They don't care about you. They do not care about you. They will fire you and replace you in a minute. And so, and I've never went back to a job. Only one job I ever tried to go back to, but now they didn't get rehired. But I never went back to a job. So after I quit, I'm pretty much done. So that's just how I get out. But yeah, I could go on and on about this job stuff because it's something that I'd be fired up, man. I got passion for this because I hate working for another person because they're not gonna treat you most of the time. They're not gonna treat you well. They're not gonna pay you what you're worth. And the only thing they care about is you coming in and doing that work. And when you got your own stuff, if you ever had the privilege of running your own stuff, it's very stressful, but it's very rewarding because there's no cap. You can't say, "Oh, I've been working here for 10 years. Can I get a raise?" We'll throw you 20 cent, 30 cent, 50 cent, dollar, whatever. But if you got your own stuff, you are in control of how much money you make. But you're also in control of how much money you can lose. So there's the trade off with that. But um, yeah, I just wanted to get on here and tell y'all about the red flags of stuff that happens at these companies, and you need to be paying attention and ask questions, negotiate. Don't let them just pay you anything. Do your research on the company. But if you really need a job and you got to take it, hey, you got to do what you got to do. But if you don't have to, don't do it. Do not do it. We are very free in this life. Even if you think you have to do something, technically you really don't. If somebody's like, well, I'm going to be homeless, well, be homeless then. I know that sounds crazy, but sometimes you got to start from the bottom to come up. Well, I'm not recommending you do that, but what I am recommending that you do is look at everything from all different type of angles to see what you can get involved in, see how you can improve your life, and see what you can do better.